This video is to talk about every 2-hour charting for CNA staff and what is expected and why the expectation is placed on charting every 2 hours. This is a makeshift matrix system, so things may look a little different than regularly at St. Luke's home, but we'll get the same idea out of it here. 2-hour charting. These flyers have gone out that every 2-hour charting for CNA staff must chart every 2 hours on checking residents for urine and bowel movements. To chart for a resident, you will select outputs, of which you will select both urine and bowel movements. Chart every 2 hours in real time or adjust the time you checked. Staff will begin to be audited, and they will also be audited in the future for certain things such as if a resident fell, when was the last time staff checked on them? If a resident had an incontinent episode of large proportion or something abnormal, they may be checked. We may check for other medical issues that we notice with the resident, concerns from the resident or family. So by you charting every 2 hours, you are protecting yourself as a CNA staff member here at St. Luke's of saying, I was in looking at these residents. Let's say your shift starts at 6 a.m. You would then be expected to chart every 2 hours. You may chart at 6, 8, 10, noon, and 2. So you could chart anywhere from 4 at a minimum to 5 times on this output. The output may not show up blue, but you still need to chart on it every 2 hours. If I'm going to select urine, I'm going to select that they had a large urine episode. I'm going to select that they were continent. The goal of checking every 2 hours on the resident is that we can take them to the bathroom and they don't have to be incontinent in their products as well. Residents come here to live and maintain their dignity and integrity. This individual resident ended up having clear, and we toileted them. If I chose to set a different time, I could. I could select the time and go back. It's expected that staff are able to chart real time, but we do realize that times do get busy and sometimes are not easier to chart than others. So you can go back and change, and again, you'd have to chart 4 times every shift on a resident if you're doing an 8-hour shift every 2 hours. So I'm going to save that and I'm going to do a bowel movement. Let's just say they didn't have any. Then I can leave it at that. They may not have to go to do a urine. I can just put none. And that was when I checked them now. But I checked and asked, and they didn't want to do it. When you think about this, though, it's not all about urine and bowel movements. It's about doing 2-hour resident checks. What else does the resident need? Do they need water? Do they have their call light in reach? Do they need assistance with doing something? Is it time for them to go for a walk, a new activity, rotate them, change in position? What are things that these residents need? Are they having pain? So always discuss with your resident issues that are pertinent to them at that time when you do your 2-hour resident checks. If this is done, it will change your residents' daily behaviors, habits, and it'll actually decrease workload for you. It's easier to work with the resident before they have a fall and prevent it than it is to actually do all the vital signs afterwards and all the follow-up to ensure that the resident has been okay after the fall. If we can maintain 2-hour rounding, it'll make a big difference for you and your resident. If you have any questions, feel free to ask one of your managers about how to incorporate this into your care.